they are two of the rarest human beings I've ever met in my life. They are rare, mate.
Welcome back to another episode of the Viking Collapse. This time through the use of Zoom. Roy Brackenreg joining with me again. Roy, how are you?
Yeah, good, Matt. Doing really well at the moment. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. Just chilling at home at the moment. In isolation still.
Yeah, seems to be a lot of that happening lately, isn't it?
I know. You're obviously not in Sorrento anymore. Where have you moved to?
No, I've living at my parents' lovely holiday home down in South Yunderup, a little bit further south than Mandurah. Living the absolute dream down here on the water.
Nice.
Couple of frothies. Beauty.
Got the Corona too. Can't beat it.
Yeah. Can't get away from the Corona at the moment.
I know. Tough time. Well, joining us today, Roy, special guest, Club President Mike Toutountzis. Toots, how are you?
Yeah, good boys, good. Thanks for having me on. It's an absolute honour to be the first guest on the podcast.
Oh, it's good to have you.
Yeah, well, we thought we'd start at the top with the big dog.
Yeah, good choice.
How are you going, mate?
Yeah, going well. Business as usual, except there's no cricket at the moment. Still at work, and yeah, living the dream here in Churchlands.
Lovely.
Nice. Well, now we're obviously not together. We are using Zoom. We will run you through what will be happening on today's podcast. So we'll be talking about having a recap on the season just gone by, as well as recapping the presentation night that we had on Zoom the other week, and getting to what people have been doing during isolation for the last couple of weeks, which will be very interesting indeed to see what everyone's been up to. Isn't that right, Roy?
Yep, I can't wait to hear a few of the stories that have been floating around the Viking hive. So
no,
yeah, let's get
you might have
into
a couple tips.
Oh, maybe we'll see.
Yeah.
Well, first off, let's get into the season recap then. So the 1920 season was a successful one for the Vikings. Toots, it was your first year as president. How did you find it?
A little bit daunting. The season came around very quickly. There was a few little issues at the start of the season. Obviously, we had to drop a team. But after that, it seemed like everything went swimmingly. And it was looking like we were going to have an awesome year on the field. Definitely had a great year off the field. And it came with its challenges, but I'm lucky enough to have a great supporting cast behind me that helped out every day.
Just one thing you mentioned there, Toots, in saying we had a great year off the field. Is that something you feel that the club is heading in the right direction with in terms of building a culture of quite a tight-knit group?
Oh, absolutely. And I think you can sort of see if you're at any of whether it's the Viking house parties or any of the club events like the 21st as well, that there's a great amount of harmony and unity amongst the grades. So there's no purple circle or anything. It's everyone's involved, everyone's having a laugh, everyone's having a few drinks, and it's one of the greatest things I've seen. I've loved every minute of it.
Wonderful.
That's why we play this game, isn't it? For the after-game beers. For sure. It. But also we have to perform on the field as well at Viking Park, and we had individually there was some brilliant performances. We had 12 centuries scored this season, 10 different players. A couple scored 2 centuries this year, and 14 fifers from 14 different players. It must be good when after training and you're presenting the medals to the centurions and the fifers. So it must be a proud moment.
Yeah, it's great. It brings back memories of me being presented with my many centuries and fifers.
Oh, you always had to sneak that one in there, didn't you?
I will let everyone know for the rest of my life that I made a ton once.
Wasn't that ton against 8 fielders?
It was a full side.
The first 2 balls.
We'll probably cover that a bit later, Twitter, but we'll get moving into the one-day final. One-day finals. Obviously, you know, they were the only finals we had this year, with the 2-day finals being postponed. Just quickly, what's your take on what was the undoing of the season, I guess, in the coronavirus postponing the 2-day finals?
Yeah, well, look, I guess we're kind of lucky in that we did get to sort of finish the season to some extent, getting through the home and away fixtures. Look, I thought we were probably going to snag ourselves a few more flags with 5 teams in the finals. So, look, it's unfortunate. We will get a flag for grade champions for Mandy Moore and his unbelievable run in E grade. But unfortunately, the G's, the H's and the J's will, even though they toiled away very hard all year and we're going to have a big crack come finals, they have missed out, unfortunately. But I guess it's sort of out of our hands and there's nothing we could really do about it.
True. Toots, you were a part of the twos this year and unfortunately came a very close second in the end. Would you put that down to Michael Dunstan not declaring early enough when he had the chance?
Absolutely. So he could have done 2 things that day. He could have either declared early and afforded us a chance to win outright, or he could have let young Tristan Burgoyne go on and get his maiden ton for the Vikings. Mick managed to stuff up both of them and robbed Bergs of a ton and cost us an outright. So great day. It was a great fine session.
Is it fair to say Nick Dunstan won't be captaining this club again?
Well, I'm sure the ex-West Coast Eagles player's got a bit of coin floating around.
I actually tore up his contract straight away after the game. So all sorted.
Oh, contracts is there at this club. I guess mine's still in the post, is it?
Yeah, it's coming.
Well, moving on. In them one-day finals, we had Semi Hopkins, 61, guiding the threes to a victory. It's good to see the youngsters coming through, progressing and scoring runs when it matters in finals.
Yeah, absolutely. A player for the future, young Semi Hopkins.
Yeah, I think that's one thing I've noticed a lot lately over the last few seasons is the young talent really stepping up and pushing through and up the grades. Is that something you'd agree with, Toots?
Yeah, absolutely. It's awesome to see. I mean, look at our first 11 all season long. There was a couple of blokes in their 30s, and then there was Rodney in his 50s, and then everyone else was in their mid-20s, mid-early 20s. So it's great to see that across the grades. There's plenty of youth, and I can't wait to see what happens over the next 5 years.
That's it. And within your youth, you need good, experienced players. And the man of the matches in the other grades in the one-day finals, we had Chad Richardson, 4 for 11 off 5, Lee Mack, 33, and Ed Brown, 29. It's good to see the experienced players still performing as well, isn't it?
Definitely. It's great to see Vikings, young and old, putting in some great performances on the field.
I know, it's good to see. Very good. But then, obviously, within the team success, there's also individual awards at the end of the season. And the Player of the Year awards, it was a bit different this year, having to have it on a Saturday afternoon. And it should have been semi-finals. But a good day in the end, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It was great. It was a short turnaround to get it sorted, but I think we made the best of it before everyone had to go into lockdown.
And are the fridges well and truly gone now? Did we drink them dry?
We did drink every bit of alcohol in the club. It's all gone. It was exactly what we needed.
Perfect. That's what we like to hear. So we'll go through the winners from that day. And there's some names there that keep coming back every year, isn't there? You've got J-grade Dan Thompson, once again scoring runs. It'll be good to see, hopefully next year, him up the grades, forming.
Yeah, I've heard a few rumours floating around that DT, as they call him, will be, showing his hand in the higher grade. So it's something that the club, I'm sure, everyone's looking forward to see what he can do. And we all know he's got the talent to, push for higher selection. So it's time to see him do it.
It is.
Great word.
Very. He could be pushing your spot for one of the biggest hitters at the club. Hey, Roy.
Oh, I'm an opening batsman, mate. I play sensibly.
Talking about next year, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
And then, we've got a couple of the older experienced heads winning awards again. You've got H grade Mason Cox and G grade Lincoln George. They're proving every year they're like a fine wine, still getting better. So we'll move on, and we've got E grade. E grade, well, that's a story and a half, isn't it? E grade Player of the Year. Shall we say it? Do we want to say it?
Yeah, just quietly, I did hear a rumour that there was many games where Matt Moore actually got the 33 votes. So 3 votes from every player, meaning that he did vote for himself. So, put a question mark on it. Yes, he had a great season, but there's definitely question mark, little asterisks there.
I would not
Absolutely.
be surprised. I would not be surprised with that. And then it was your team, Toots, D grade.
Yeah.
Well, it's the same name every year, isn't it? He comes back,
Yeah.
he scores runs, he hits tons, gets wickets. S. Mitchell, 3 votes. How good is he, Toots? How good is he?
He's pretty handy. He does a bit of everything. He's not a bad fielder either. Some of the wickets are questionable because he bowls spin, but I haven't seen him spin a ball. They're all half volleys outside off, and I don't think he deserved 35 wickets.
No, neither do I. And I still am annoyed at him because I was the twos bowler, off-spin bowler a couple years ago, and then had to have a week off with injury, and he bowls, gets 3 wickets, and he's been bowling ever since and getting wickets ever since. So that should be me. And then moving on, like E grade, Roy, this is one that we played all season with, and like E grade, I don't know if we want to mention it, but we will. The Player of the Year for A grade, Liam Hunter.
Oh, I think it's fantastic. I mean, he was a wicket keeper. He was the A-grade wicket keeper. Yeah, they'll write books and movies about this one day. But no, all seriousness, Hunter had a great season. There's a bit of a trend I'm seeing here. There's a lot of bowlers in this Player of the Year award.
It is. It's a bowler's game, isn't it?
It is. It's definitely a bowler's game. I might have to have a word with the analyst and see if we can boost the batsman stocks. I mean, Toots, as a batsman now yourself, would you agree?
Look, I'm in chats with Dino to amend the champion cricketer votes to give more weight towards batsmen. There's too many wickets for bowlers that are off genuine half volleys or full tosses. So I think they should all be eradicated. It's always been a batsman's game, and it should stay that way.
Toots, you say you've been in contact with the great man. What's he been up to?
To be honest, I'm not too sure. He's a pretty quiet man. He doesn't let too much in. But look, anytime I see the phone ringing and I've got Dino Mara popping up on the screen, I know I'm in for a very colourful and interesting 25-minute phone call. What about yourself, Matt? I believe you've had a chat with the great man.
I have. I think it was about last week. I had 2 conversations with him on the phone. Both went for longer than half an hour, which was very interesting. In that half an hour, I reckon there was about 10 awkward silences involved there, but it was a good chat. He's a very knowledgeable man, especially in the statistics area.
So is that something you want to? Is there any little bit of news there, Matt? Is there anything in the woodworks coming out? Why are you in chats with Dean?
There's a couple of conversations with Dean, which comes us to the point of about a quiz, Roy.
What does this quiz entail?
We will get onto that a bit later on, but it's definitely something not to be missed, is what I'll say for now.
Right.
It will be brilliant.
Is Dean going to be a guest on the podcast one day, you'd say?
Oh, I'd love to. I'd love to. Maybe when we hit our next ton, maybe we can get him on and we can talk about all the different statistics and records we broke.
Yeah, look, absolutely. I think he'd be a great guest. Unfortunately, at the moment, there is a huge line of guests waiting. I'm talking Justin Langer, Josh Philippi, Tim David. Tim David, apparently.
Tim David. Now that is the name. That's the name we want.
Yep.
I reckon there's a couple jealous people too. I reckon Adam Zampa and Stoinis might be wanting to come on, as Justin Langer said that we are the rarest people he's ever met.
I have heard that as well.
They might want to discuss some of that with us.
Yep.
Right.
All right, well, shall we move on to the presentation night recap then, Matt?
The night of nights, Roy. And as 2 hosts of the Viking Collapse, we let 2 other people have a go of hosting, didn't we? And we let Isaac Ibav, he hosts, and he's a brilliant host every year. Very good.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Talent like us, we appreciate it when we see, other genuine raw talents. And Isaac is just that to a T,
It is, yeah.
He's been doing this for the club for many years. And it's just fantastic. He's always drawing in a crowd, half the time it's not even for the awards, it's for Isaac.
It is. And I'm sure of the 81 viewers that we had that night, I'm sure a lot of them were tuning in just for his words of wisdom.
Yeah, and I guess we can make a small mention to Rodney, just a small one for everything that he did.
We'll have a tiny one.
Organising the awards night. Yeah.
We'll give him a shout out because I did hear, and Toots, you might elaborate on this, but I heard he was a very nervous man in the minutes leading up to the presentation night. Is that true?
Yeah, he's a nervous wreck. I'd done about 4 different rehearsal conferences before during the week. He called me 5 minutes prior and said, we're all good to go. I think it was just him reassuring himself. There was a slight delay. We did start at 7:03 instead of 7 o'clock. But
I did get a couple of text messages actually, Toots, saying, have we actually started yet? Am I on the right links? Because it was a bit late. So that is true. That is correct.
Yeah, and look, I was concerned at 7:02. I was pretty concerned, but fortunately, Rodney came through and provided us with a great night.
Look, credit where credit's due. I think the amount of people that have said that what a successful night it was, and it was a pleasure to be a part of. And it's good to see that a club like this, Toots, when get dealt with such a catastrophe, that we make a positive out of it.
Definitely, and I think that's what makes this club so great, is that we can adapt to situations like that, and we still have a great time.
And Nails had a speech, didn't he? And he said that Nego got us kicked out of a lot of hotels and venues for our presentation night, and I don't think Zoom he'll get us kicked out of Zoom, will he?
I mean, I'd hope not, but you never know with the big hairy Serbian. He can get kicked out of just about anything.
I think so. Well, we did say Nails had an interview, but we also had interviews with some other people, some blasts from the past. DG, Bath and Carney. How good were they, Roy?
Oh, mate, you know what? I haven't spoken to a couple of those blokes for a long time, and it was really refreshing to see their face, blokes that I've, built relationships over many years with. And, just to hear that they're going well and doing all right was actually quite refreshing for me. I guess that's the world we live in at the moment, this online world. I'm actually speaking to a few more people that I haven't spoken to, I guess. So that's like in this terms of this Zoom conversation, it's actually, helping a lot of people to talk and, rekindle old relationships.
It's brilliant. It's brilliant. And DG, he did say in there that he could be returning to Viking Park one day. How good is that?
Yeah, so I've kept in contact with DJ a little bit whilst he's been over in Queensland in Airlie Beach, living the absolute dream. Yes, I think obviously he's engaged to his beautiful Yenna, but I think the plan was for them to come over September-ish, but I'm not sure. I think that's up in the air at the moment.
Well, that'll be a brilliant return, and I guess it's an excuse to have a party. His return, welcome home party.
Yep,
it'll be a brilliant one. But there was also the main sponsor, O'Rourke. It was brilliant to hear from him, wasn't it, Toots?
Yeah, it's great. Look, I strongly encourage anyone that's looking to buy, sell, rent, anything to have a chat with Jared. He's been the platinum sponsor at the club for the last at least 10 years. He's always down at club events. He's done a lot with this club. As you can see, he's on all the apparel, and he's first man to support the club. So it's great to have him have a chat with us. And it was also great to hear about some of the Vikings that he believes are the biggest pests, his favourite Vikings. It was great to hear that Pine was the biggest pest that he's ever dealt with from the Vikings.
I know. How good.
think you will agree.
It's a bit of a mutual feeling there from a lot of Vikings, isn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, Reef is coming up as another pest, but I don't think he's going to be on Rorky's contact list for a long time.
Look, I would say one thing about Rorky's interview though, Toots. There was one of the questions were who would he employ out of the Vikings, and I noticed he never said mine or Roy's name. Why do you think that was, Toots? Because he did mention your name, but I think Roy and I would be quite the salesman.
Look, I think maybe youth is going against you. Maybe the fact that every club event you two seem to get a few frothies into you and talk a bit of dribble. That might be another factor, especially you, Kelland.
That's usually quite good for salesmen, isn't it? So
Yeah.
I reckon we could host.
This bloke could sell ice to an Eskimo.
We could host the auctions, I reckon.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Definitely.
They're called auctions in Australia, mate.
Well, Rorky's numbers on all our newsletters, all our posts. So if you want to have a chat with him, I'd suggest giving him a call.
Yeah, definitely.
And we can't recommend enough getting behind all the club sponsors, using them for all their any services you need. And that brings us to, one of the other sponsors we heard from in Brendan Lynch. Legendary clubman. It was good to hear from him. Always love having a good chat with Doogs. He's a bit of a mentor for a lot of the younger Vikings. I've had many conversations with Doogs and, really interested in what he has to offer.
Yeah, definitely.
Can you elaborate on any of them conversations, Roy, or are you not allowed to?
We'll save that for another podcast. Maybe even get the man on himself. But Doogs and I share a lot of interests. One of them you'll hear later on in the show.
Brilliant. We'll move on and we'll go on to the award winners and the novelty award winners. But the first one, it was the one horse race, wasn't it? The most sensitive.
Yeah.
Was he ever not going to win it?
He had to win it, and if he didn't win it, I would have had to shut down the Zoom conference and make sure that everything was being run accordingly and there was no bias. Because if anyone deserved it, it was Rodney, and it's going to be named the Rodney Dunstan Most Sensitive Award.
I think it should, and it was quite funny. I remember when we were doing the nominations for that award, and we had a Zoom chat, didn't we, Roy? And we were thinking of nominees, and Rod, obviously the first one. We sent all the nominations to Rod. I remember sending 6 people for Most Sensitive, and he came back saying, "Sorry, we can only have 5, and my name's not going to be on that list." And it was quite fitting that he said that, considering he is the most sensitive Viking.
Definitely.
Yep. Now the second award calls
Best
himself
award.
Mr. Back-to-Back. Biggest stirrer, Matt Kelland.
That's it.
What are your thoughts on going back-to-back, Matt? Was there much competition this year?
Look, it's an honour. There's some amazing names on that big bat. But, it's good because I think it's just you've got to hang around the most sensitive. I think you've got to do it because if you can stir him up.
So is that your tip for perhaps future stirrers? Is
definitely
target the vulnerable?
Yeah, I think so, and I think people are. Last year especially, I think people went targeted on Michael James a bit too much. I think he recovered himself. He's usually a front runner for most sensitive. I think he recovered with the amount of abuse. And maybe that's some tips for people like Daniel Negic and Hayden French that will try hard to win that award, but just couldn't get over the line this year.
Lovely.
I think with Kelland, you've got to find that most of the time with the biggest stirrer winners, it's quality over quantity. Not with Matt Kelland. He breaks that rule. It's all quantity over quality. None of it's good.
Yeah.
There's so much of it that you have to applaud him.
Look, keep producing the numbers. I do. So keep producing the numbers. Like 2019 and 2020, both on the wall.
All right. Biggest salmon.
Well,
Dan Thompson. We covered this fella a little bit earlier. Obviously, look, he's playing well below his grade.
he is.
Scoring runs, getting wickets. I just can't wait to see him up the grades and see what he can do. What are your thoughts on the man, Toots?
Can't wait. I think he's got a big future ahead of him. Just hopefully he gets himself to training and really commits to a season up the grades and stops fluffing around.
Lovely.
How many, Toots, you might know the answer to this. How many seasons has he had in J grade? Do you know?
I think it might be 3 or 4, but
Three or
whatever it
four.
is, it's 3 or 4 too many.
It's 3
I
or
think
4.
I'd say at least 4.
4, I think so, 4. And this is the first time he's won the biggest salmon award.
Yeah,
It's quite crazy. That's a good stat, I think.
yeah, absolutely.
He's deserved it. What were you going to say there, Roy?
No. I was going to move on to the biggest pest. I mean, we're all eager to get there. We all know who it is.
We do. I think it's another one-horse race, isn't it?
Yep. I actually got a Snapchat from this guy last night. In typical fashion. I miss you so much. Do you still love me? Mr. Reef Samuels, everybody.
Wow.
Yes, Reef, I still love you, buddy. Don't worry.
That's surprising because usually the Snapchats he sends are just a little bit of his hair and an S written on it. I'm guessing for streaks. Yeah, anyone that's been on a night out with old Reefer knows he is a massive pest.
Yeah,
I know,
he's
and-
definitely trying to kiss you.
And I know you two are quite well known as being two rare breeds, but look, Reef Samuels isn't far behind you two.
Look, I think he's a wannabe rare breed.
Yeah.
He's trying hard.
We've taken Reef and Flynn and a few of the Josh Fellows, Lukey Saunders, a few of the younger boys under our wings, and of course they're going to try to be us. Look at us.
It's not wrong. We got the fashion sense, we got the chat, got the pickup lines. I can see why they want to hang around us. Let's just hope they're not as much like us on the field as they are off it. Because we want.
And I'd
to
say
see
you
Flynn.
two are the next Hamish and
Going up.
Andy, Matt Kelland and Roy Brackenreg.
We actually discussed that earlier, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. And look, you never know, Toots. If this goes very well, you could be seeing the Viking Collapse on Fox Cricket one day, maybe on Channel 9.
And I can't wait for the Vikings to cash in on your fame.
But that's it. Maybe Sharpie's watching this and might put a good word in for us.
On.
So yeah, you just never know, Toots. It's about grabbing the opportunity when you get it.
It's exciting, and I can't wait to see the future.
I know. Very good. Moving on then to the Duck Award. We've already mentioned him. He won Player of the Year. He captained our 2020 team. And he is the Duck Award winner. It's Liam Hunter. Good to see.
Yeah, well, again, I'll take this back to what I said earlier. He's got the Duck Award, yet he was still the A-grade champion player. How is the batters getting robbed this much?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a bowler's game.
yeah, far too much of a bowler's game.
It is.
Make batsmen great again.
That's it. And I'm sure there's many batsmen watching this thinking the exact same thing.
Yep.
So we need a change. We need a change to that.
I'm all ears.
Brilliant. Well, speaking of
Can we
the
get a
batsmen...
buggy? Can we get a buggy? Can we get a buggy?
We'll discuss that later.
Okay.
Oh, that's promising signs. Promising signs indeed. And speaking of promising signs, it's the Young Team of the Year moving on to it now. And there are some exceptional young cricketers in this team. So we'll start up from the opening batsmen, Sammy Hopkins and Nath Clayton. Two good young cricketers that have this year even excelled more.
Yep, it's great to see.
Yeah, obviously Sammy performing well in the finals, and Nath Clayton, I think he actually won the 2020 Player of the Year, which is good to see for him. That's the style of game, style of cricket that he's most suited to. So it's huge for him to, have a real crack in the A-grade T20 side and end up coming away with the Player of the Year. So it's great.
You were a bit annoyed you didn't win that, weren't you, Roy?
Oh, look, I was fucking robbed. But at the end of the day, I only played one game. And then a second game, 2 games, and one game on a broken foot and actually hit the winning runs. But that's a story for another day.
Oh no, I like it. I like it. Well, moving on to the middle order, and you got the J grade boys. So it's Dan Thompson, Eamon Gilbert, Brad Weir, who is our wicket keeper and vice captain. Three outstanding seasons for them three.
Yeah, it was great. The J grade boys had a real feast this season with the runs. I think all three of them getting 500 plus run seasons or close to it.
It's good to see. It's good to see. And like we said about DT before, let's hope they can get up the grades and continue to score some runs and build some successful years in Viking colours. And then it probably is the golden child at the club at the moment. Coming in next, Flynn Rose. He probably established himself this year as an A-grade batsman, which was good to see, scoring more runs, having a good full season in the ones. Well, you batted with him quite a bit this year.
Oh, no, you see, Flynn comes in at 3 and I open, so he usually bats with Pete.
Yeah.
But no, I love watching Flynn bat. Very technical, you know. When he's on, it's lovely to watch. And yeah, like you said, it's really good to see him come out of his shell a bit and score a few more runs in A-grade.
That's it. And he's getting a bit more confident off the field this year. Who's probably one of the success stories of the year.
Yeah, the one thing I do want to mention to Flinny is, look, I've been there, Matt's been there, you know, we've all been the little A-grade, you know, future star. It doesn't work out, mate. So just stay on the straight and narrow, and hopefully you can change the tide.
Maybe this break from Bar 120 is might do him wonders.
Hopefully that's the case.
That's it. And he was the success story of the year, especially when Emily came round his house. Very much punching above his weight in that region, for sure. So moving on, then we got Tommy Marisic, Liam Hunter, Jacob Watson, the next three players in the Young Team of the Year. 3 more good seasons. Hunter, though, with C next to his name. I'm not sure what it represents, but it surely can't be captain. And then to wrap it up, it's Isaac Wells, Lockie Emery, and Jacob Herbert. So 3 brilliant seasons for them with the ball in hand. So that run us through, you see players like that, you're thinking future for the Vikings is very bright.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really great to see a lot of these guys up the grades already, and guys that are looking to be pushing up the grades. It just shows great depth that we have. And look, these guys are going to be a big part of the club in years to come, and I can't wait for them to develop into men rather than boys, and hopefully make lots of runs and take lots of wickets.
That's it.
Just one thing there. I'm not sure on the exact numbers, but just by eye, it looks like there's quite a few first-time Young Team of the Year Vikings in there, which is, you know, that's great. Speaks volumes about the young talent that the club is pushing through.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Have you ever been in the Young Team of the Year, Roy?
I think I was in the inaugural one. I'm not sure.
Nice.
I think you might have
I think
been.
I was.
I believe I was the guy with the C next to my name last year. So Hunter, welcome to the club.
Yeah.
And
must have been a bit stiff on talent.
It was a lean year last year.
Yeah. Don't know how I was in that team, but I was in it. I was in it. Maybe it was because I was captain. Michael James tax.
Yeah.
So we'll go on to the Team of the Year, and there's a few names that we've already mentioned already on the podcast. We've got Shane Mitchell, Dan Thompson, Flynn Rose, Dean O'Mara with a good season in between the 3s and the 2s. Eamon
Did
Gilbert
Dean score
again.
another ton this year?
He did.
He did, yeah.
So what's that tally up to? 9.
He's got 9. Yeah. So I think he's
Hell.
3 or 4 clear of Bundy in second.
Yep.
Jeez, that's a lot.
Hell.
He's top and still going, which is good to see. Then we've got Eamon Gilbert, Brad Weir, Link George in the team again. He must be breaking records for the amount of times he's in this team.
Yeah, every year Link has amazing amount of runs and takes wickets and catches. It's amazing to see that a bloke in his 50s can still play with the rest of us.
It is. It's very good. And then you got Liam Hunter, Gav Higgins once again with his left arm straights. Matt Moore as captain. Matt Moore as captain. Let's talk about that, Toots. I'm sure you were on the committee to sort this team of the year, and you see Matt Moore as captain. Is that because of his record this year?
Yeah, it has to be. I'll be honest. Picking Mandy as captain, I was a bit nervous. I have played junior cricket with Mandy. I've played senior cricket with Mandy. I was a bit nervous for him, and especially after he started 0-3 and did get pumped those first 3 games. He's had a miraculous turnaround, and I think you mentioned earlier that Hunter should have a movie about him and his transition from keeper to bowler, but I think Mandy's miracle season would be the greatest movie in Australian film history. And I'm sure all the females he told about his wonderful season while he was at Bar 1 or any time he was out and about, I'm sure they will have a great time seeing the movie and them featuring in it briefly.
I think Liam Patalfamo's girlfriend could be the narrator for that documentary because she knows all about it on Australia Day when he was telling every bit of detail. And wrapping up the team of the year, young Jacob Watson. So it's good to see another youngster performing for the Vikings.
Yeah,
so we'll move on to the individual awards. And Roy, do you wanna run through them?
Yeah. So best first year Viking, James Garcia, obviously had a wonderful first year. You know, gets on with everyone like house on fire. Absolutely great bloke. Performed well across multiple grades in the finals. It was a really strong year for Gas, and you know we look forward to having him back in the future.
Absolutely.
Obviously, you played with Gas junior cricket, didn't you, Toots?
Yes. So Gas was my captain all throughout juniors. Captain myself, Mandy, and Niall. So look, it's great to be playing with him again. And look, his rig's a bit better than what it was when we were in juniors. But it's great to see that he's got a missus and he's posting her on his Instagram lately. And yeah, hopefully he'll be down at the club and be bringing the new missus along as well.
Yeah, hopefully she'll be there as well.
Yeah, you'd like to say he was punching, but I think he is the best looking Viking that we've got at the moment. Would you agree?
Oh, easily.
I would say so, for sure.
The Phillips Ranford Trophy goes to Hunter.
Most improved, definitely.
Oh, that's what it is. I was going to say, might have to butt in there for me, Kelland, because I'm not quite sure what that means. But yeah, I've touched on this before. Hunter obviously taken his game to the next level and has been rewarded with the accolades that he's received this year. Champion cricketer Shane Mitchell, obviously no surprise there. Year in, year out, is around the top cricketers at the club. Can bat, can bowl. As Twitter said, he can field.
He can do everything. He can do the lot.
And so best clubman. I'll let you do this one, Twitter, because obviously you've got a bit more to do with that than Matt and I. Andrew Gamble, take it away.
Yeah. So Gambo snagged me by 1 vote for the Clubman Award, but Gambo, I don't think anyone's deserved it more than Gambo deserved it this year. He was incredible. So he was my vice president all year long. He captained the twos. He was there for every bit of the selections. He was calling players, making sure everyone's qualified. He was spending hours and hours every week doing his bit for the club. And yeah, it was awesome to see him rewarded for it. I think that was the only award he hadn't won until a few weeks ago. And yeah, it was awesome to see.
Great. So just one thing you mentioned more, Toots. We'll get into a bit of a, less formal general chit-chat here. You said you played junior cricket with Gas, Niall and Mandy Moore. So give us a bit of a history on your cricket journey. Obviously, Matt and myself have played juniors through Sereno our whole life. Is that the case for you?
Yeah, exactly the same for me. So I think I started with Sereno Duncraig Junior Club when I was about 8 or 9 years old, and have been playing for the Kookaburras and the Vikings ever since. So, well, that would have been 2004 maybe I started playing, and it's now 2020. So, yeah, look, I can't imagine playing cricket anywhere else in the world.
Yeah. So, wow, it's a massive 16-year career almost, I guess. What would you say your top 3 individual career moments would be? Now, we obviously already know what you're going to say for number 1, but give us a top 3.
So number 1 has to be the century. I'm sure you boys remember when you would have started at the club that I was a bowler and I was a useless number 11.
So we still think you are a bowler, mate.
And yeah, ton was always the highlight. There's the grand final sixfer that I think you were a part of, Roy. You took a few catches for me on the boundary.
Yep, lovely.
Just quickly on that note, Toots, how did Mick James go in that game?
Mick James wasn't picked, had a dummy spit. It was great to see. I wish everyone was there for it.
Brilliant.
And your third moment?
Number 3.
What about being announced president?
Yeah.
Voted president by your peers.
Yeah. Being nominated and, elected as president of the people was a great moment for me and a very humbling experience. And, I can't wait for the future and what else is going to happen as president.
Toots,
awesome.
Just quickly, you say you played juniors for Sorrento, and we're talking about career highlights and everything. Did you ever get the baggie for the juniors?
I did get the baggy blue and yellow. I had a day out with the ball once in juniors. Took 6 for 7. No stranger to a 6-ball. So that's how I got my baggy blue and yellow.
How did you get yours, boy?
50, I think.
Yeah, I was the same.
Lovely. So one thing you mentioned there, Toots. One thing you mentioned there, Toots, you know, your third career highlight would probably be being announced the president of the club. So, you know, for us general, you know, cricket members who don't really know what goes on behind the scenes, can you give us a bit of an idea of what the role of the president is? Because, you know, I see the work you put in behind hours at the club. You know, you're working almost every day with liaising with Gambo and Rod. What actually is the role of the SDCC president?
It's a whole little bit of everything. So there's a bit of chatting with the captains, chatting with guys like Matty Kelland and Jacob Wells in the social committee, chatting with a guy like Nathan Russell, see if everything's up to scratch. And to be honest, I don't do a whole lot of one thing. I just do tiny bits of everything and check in on anyone. It's look, I'm really lucky that I've got a great committee behind me. So guys like Gambo and Cam Wist that are just going to take over and do everything when it comes to selections. So I just give them a little message here and there, see how you're going, do we need anything, what's going on here, and then they do the rest of it. A guy like Isaac and Paul Sampson, if we need to pay any bills, I'll ask them if we have any money in the bank, and most of the time they say yes, and we can pay for things like trophies and medals. A guy like Nathan Russell is also very important, so talking to him a lot and getting everything up to scratch with the council and dealing with them, making sure we're not leaving the kitchen too messy, which we never do, and all the fridges are locked, and sort of doing that. That's
no one's sneaking in after hours.
Yeah, no sneaking in after hours. That's unheard of.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely no kick-ons.
Yep.
And just making sure we're abiding by all our licenses and looking after the equipment.
It's
so I guess. No, you go, Matt.
Whilst we're on the subject of obviously running the show and everything like that, have you heard any? Can you give an update on the for the members on this current situation? Obviously, it's under dark cloud now. The start date for next season. Is there any information from maybe Cricket Australia, the WACA, even the NSCCA?
To be honest, there's not a whole lot of juicy goss that I can give you. I imagine that the cricket season might start a bit later than normal.
Okay.
But I think everyone's just sort of taking it day by day, I suppose, week by week.
Yeah.
And hopefully if we keep getting rid of all the people with coronavirus in WA, that we can go back to a normal life and get back to...
Get rid of them, is that really
Yeah,
what you want?
where are we taking them? What are we doing with them?
Executing them. Cut them off.
It's a good job you're the president of the cricket club and you're not the premier of WA, I reckon.
Thanks, Kelland.
Well, speaking of that, so, other leaders, who would your favourite leader of all time be? Whether it be, someone that's been a leader to you personally or someone out in the wider world like Donald Trump, Kim Jong-un?
There's a few great dictators around the world that I like to learn from. The first great dictator was the great Darren Smith. So learning under him for a few years was awesome. His ability to ensure he was at every club function and getting blind drunk at all of them was something to really learn from. One of his parting phrases he gave me was, "Twitter, to lead, you've got to be impaired." And that means being blind drunk as often as possible. And look, and I think I put in a few good performances off the field this year, especially your birthday, Matthew Kelland. I put in a great performance. Hopefully, when I pass over the reins to whoever the next president will be, that I'll give him some encouraging words of advice when I'm blind drunk as well.
I like it.
Perfect. And just one last one, so this is your first season of presidency. It was.
Yep.
Did a fantastic job. You're obviously going to be voted back in. What do you see as, the 5-year vision for the Serena-Duncraig Cricket Club?
It's a tough one. So I think on the field would be to continue our development and hopefully push for premierships in A grade and wherever our second 11 is. That would be one of the key ones. Off the field, I think I'd like us to develop an even better culture than what we've got and making sure everyone's getting involved and many hands make light work. That would be one of the key things. And then a big secret that I'll let you boys in on, first podcast exclusive, is that in the next 5 years, we will be seriously looking into getting a buggy.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
That is huge.
Wow, I think there's
You heard it here first, folks. The Viking Collapse announcing from the president, the buggy is in the conversation.
I think we can edit the video and we start it before that question and we end it right now. And
yep,
we've got our trailer for the episode right there.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Oh, well, thanks for letting us get to know you a bit better there, Toots. We're just going to move on to a bit of a broader view of the Viking community. Bit of what Vikings have been doing in isolation. Matt, I heard you've been going all right in isolation in a certain field.
I have. It's times like this where you need to find a new hobby, right? And my hobby, you could say, is playing FIFA. And I've been tanning a few people on FIFA lately. I'm sure there's Frenchie and Nego can talk about that very much so. Nego, my Nego's games, we don't have much defence. I think I beat him 10-5 the other day.
Oh wow!
But Frenchie just doesn't have defence or attack.
And on the other end of the scale, Toots, how's your FIFA going?
Look, it's not great. I'm yet to win against a Viking player, so I've had a few draws against Nego and Finky, but I've also lost a couple of real ugly ones to them. And I'm at the point where if I lose again, I might throw my PlayStation out the window.
Look, and if there's any any viewers watching that want to compete against me on FIFA, and we can talk about it on the next podcast, get on the PlayStation 4 M_Kelland131, add me, and I'll beat you. I also can tell you why it's 131, but that's for another time.
There you go, folks. Matt Kelland has laid down the law, thrown out the challenge. FIFA 20, here we go.
I'll also just put in there, Roy, that I am the Viking FIFA champion the last time we had a competition. I'm sure Piers Rolo will want to hear that after I beat him 2-0 in the final.
I've actually heard a rumour that you beat him so bad that he's actually quit FIFA and is commonly found saying FIFA sucks.
He has said that. He used to love FIFA, and then I think I just put him into retirement. Ever since then, apparently the game has been the same every year. Just a different number on the end of FIFA. So
very sour. It's great to see. I love a bit of bitterness.
He could be a candidate for next year's most sensitive.
Yeah, it's going to be tough to beat Rodney, but Pierce could be the man to do it.
Look, we talked about my back-to-back earlier in the podcast, but I think Rod could be going back-to-back for quite a while.
Something else that we've seen float up on the social media, Mark Blower. He's taken his time in isolation to work on his health and fitness, and God, he's done a good job, hasn't he? I think 14 or 15 kilos. Unbelievable. Good on you, Blower.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
that is very, very well done to Blower, Mr. White Line Fever. I wouldn't want to be in the way if he's running down, because he will probably aggressively give you a sledge. So you played with him before. Toots, surely you have a story or two about Mr. Blower, the White Line Fever.
It's always a pleasure, especially Blower as keeper, and I'm usually in the slip cordon. There was twice in one season that Blower was an aggressive sledger to the point where an opposition player refused to shake his hand. And look, I know as a high figure within the club, I shouldn't love it, but it was hilarious to watch.
So he's very, very classic on the field. But in all seriousness, though, very well done to Blower. That's fantastic.
Yep. And another thing that I recommend all Vikings, go and have a listen to. Daniel Nego's had a little cameo on a new podcast that's just come out, fellow podcast. It's called Blokes Don't Talk, and Nego gives a little bit of an insight to his life, some of the tough times he's gone through. He chats a little bit about cricket, mentions a few of the boys. I'm almost finished it. I think it's really quite good. Just getting to know one of your mates, one of your fellow Vikings.
So where can you find that? Where can one find?
I think it's on across all the podcast platforms. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever it is.
If not, just check his Facebook every day when he posts it.
He has been given it a bit of a run, but you know what? Good on him.
Yeah,
he's a brave man. Coming out and talking about what he has, the things he's gone through. So get around
another one
him.
there. Very well done to Nego. And like we were talking about there, Roy, we did say that he posts a bit on social media, but we've seen this time that everyone's stuck inside using social media to raise awareness for all different sorts of things. And we've had the Facebook photo nominations. We've seen some past and present Vikings putting some photos up of their memories of Viking Park. Have you done yours yet, Roy?
No, I haven't. Not yet.
You, Toots?
No, I haven't.
Oh,
so I'm back.
Have you seen?
Right. I've donated my $30 to the SDCC party fund.
That's what we like to hear. We do like to hear. But have you seen the photos that's been going around? We've had Timmy Damon the other day when his out coming off the long run. It brought back memories, didn't it?
Yeah, first time I've seen that for a while. I've seen a lot of the photos. Very good. Young players like Liam Hunter, all the way through to players like Mocker, and lots of the original A-grade, premiership players, the dynasty that they built. It's good to see a lot of the photos of the memories that they have, and it gives us something to aspire to as young current A-grade players.
I know, and it's good to see people putting positive photos on social media rather than ones such as Mr. Luke Hopkins, Roy. We had one that came into the group chat this morning, wasn't it, of him? Would you like to explain the photo that came into the group chat?
I don't really want to put images in people's heads, but it was a bit toey.
Indeed, it was. He's one that likes to put a couple of photos up of him and his missus up on social media, isn't he?
Yeah.
Play
Oh
to
well,
him.
you got it to show it off. Show it off, mate.
Yeah, maybe he could do it in a bit better fashion, don't you reckon?
Yes. Oh well,
Definitely.
something to work on for the future.
Sure, for sure. Tudo, are you ever going to be posting pictures of your girlfriends on social media soon?
Definitely not. I don't want them capitalising off my fame.
Is that because you're not allowed to visit them at the moment with the travel bans, or?
That could be part of the reason, Roy.
Yeah.
But look, that's a story for another time.
Yes, absolutely.
And are they any relation to Lockie Wilkins by any chance?
They could be, but we haven't got the test results back yet.
Cool. Let's hope it's not, hey? Well, look, we're in difficult situations, Roy. We have to use social media, and we're using Zoom at the moment for our podcast, and we use Zoom for the presentation night. But a lot of the boys have been using Zoom for different reasons, for parties, for house parties, but not in the same house. So
Yeah,
it's
I
good.
mean, I'd love to see the stock that Zoom has, how much the stock of Zoom has risen. I mean, they'll be making a killing out of this, but it's such a great, initiative, keeping people in touch. A lot of us boys, Friday night have a drink, you beauty. Some continue on to the early hours of Saturday morning, like Toots and Nego, the ethnic brothers as they call themselves.
Ethnic bros.
Ethnic bros, yeah, that's it. But yeah, Zoom parties are great. I mean, we're all always keen to have a chat, have a beer. So if there's anyone out there that wants to have a chat, send us a message and we'll organise a Zoom party.
That's it. It's good. Well, now that it's the 10 people max, you can have a bit more people, and you can have more people on Zoom. It's a good time, even though it's a bad time. It's good to be positive in times like this, isn't it, Toots? And you're partying very hard at the moment.
Yeah, it's one thing that the Vikings, a true credit to the Viking culture, is that no matter what's going on in the world, we still find a way to party regardless.
It's good. Our field culture will never change. But Roy, there's probably one application on the iPhone at the moment that's getting more work out than Zoom, and it's especially you being down south and not in your hometown at the moment, is Tinder. How's your Tinder game been going lately?
Well, you see, mate, I've actually, I've given up because I'm in isolation down here, so I'm not allowed to see any visitors, obviously, due to my work.
Fair enough.
Working with people with disabilities that are quite a really high risk of, getting the disease and causing fatalities. So I'm doing my part by isolating just to ensure the safety of them. So yeah, Tinder's non-existent at the moment because I don't want to get me hopes up and have to wait 6 months.
Oh, really? Fair enough. Toots, what about you? Have you been hiding diseases on Tinder or spreading diseases on Tinder? What have you been doing?
Well, look, it's always good to have a bit of a dabble and see what else is on the market.
Yep.
So, look, I'll probably leave it there because I believe you've been using Tinder a little bit, Matty, have you?
Yeah, even in the off season, I need to practice scoring some 4s and 6s. So, look, you've got to get it's all a numbers game at the end of the day, isn't it? When you want to get swiping. But I'm sure I'm not swiping as much as Tom Kelland, and that was probably the funniest story of the presentation night. We will have to go there and talk to it because we're doing the presentation and my phone goes off and there's a text message from my father. He's over at Tom's place, and they're watching the broadcast of Zoom, and on the top right hand corner gets a notification from eHarmony. And I think the name's Claire. And Claire comes up with a message to Tom, and Dad straight away texts me saying we're watching. And Claire from eHarmony's popped up. 5 minutes later, Emily pops up. So it's good to see some Vikings are still looking to pull even on the times.
Good on you, Tommy boy.
Well done.
Good to see one of the good guys get one.
Let's see if Tom can make me an uncle. I'd like to be an uncle from Tom, not from Simon's anymore. So we'll keep going with Simon, but I want one from Tom. That would be funny.
Well, I think that's bringing us to the end of the podcast here, Matt.
Start wrapping up. It's been another successful episode, Roy.
Yep, it's been great. You know, thank you, Toots, for coming on. You know, thought we'd start at the top with the big dog. So yeah, Matt, can you tell us when we'll next be on?
Look, we'll next be on in 2 weeks' time. We're going to make this a fortnightly thing. We will keep bringing up the news and the updates from the Vikings. When Toots hears from the WACA or from the NSCCA, we will bring you the updates. We'll bring you all the news to keep you updated. We'll have someone else, another special guest that we can interview, that we can get to know, and everyone can hear their background and story and on and off the field, and get to know what people have been up to in isolation. Because I'm sure, like maybe on a Saturday, they might be winning some money on the races. Roy, have you been doing that lately?
Oh, I've been trying my best, Matt. Yeah, a little thing we might incorporate into this podcast is I might put a little racing tip at the end of the podcast for any of the keen punters out there.
Nice.
So, you know, this Saturday, Morfettville, we've got race 8, number 16 away game. I think it's at about $6. Get on it, because I reckon it's going to run a race for you.
That's it. Okay. Away game. We'll have to open the Sportsbet app now and get onto that. Well, Touta, from the host of Viking Collapse, thank you very much once again. Roy.
No problem, boys.
A pleasure.
A pleasure as always, Matthew.
It's a pleasure as always, and we'll see you all in 2 weeks' time.
Wonderful. Take care.